It's a new year, and the grind is back on. I just teed it up in my first tournament of 2025. Fresh goals, fresh mindset, and a whole lot to prove.
That's it.
In this video, I'll take you inside the ropes for every high and low, every clutch shot, and every lesson learned. Let's dive into the journey, because this season, it's all about leveling up.
Be good. Just be the one. Great shot, James.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are May 1st. I am at the Sid Golf Club, and I'm here because in 3 days I have my first tournament of the year right here. So just to bring you guys up to speed on what's been happening with me recently, I've been working hard all winter trying to get my game ready for the season. I'm really happy with the progress I've made. My swing has been in a really good spot. Unfortunately, about 2.5 weeks ago, I did sustain a bit of a back injury. Actually, it was a bit more of a glute injury, but the low back is what took the brunt of it. So I was out of commission for a little while. I went about 10 days without picking up a golf club, just physically incapable of doing it. So obviously that's not ideal timing, kind of right before the season gets going. The really unfortunate part is that golf courses here were starting to open, or a bunch of them were already open at that time. So essentially I just lost a whole bunch of outdoor reps trying to get ready for tournament season. So I've got a very condensed prep window now because I only got the okay from my osteo to resume normal activities just a couple of days ago. Anyways, that's kind of the current state of affairs, but the next time you guys see me will be Sunday as we prepare to play our first tournament of 2025. Good morning, guys. Sunday, May 4th. It is tournament day. So just to recap my prep over the last few days, just been trying to play a bunch of golf, as I mentioned previously. Missed some time with injury recently, so just trying to get reps in. I've played some pretty good golf over the last few days, which is nice. Definitely helps the confidence, but I definitely don't feel like I have as many reps in at this point as I would like before going into a tournament. Mostly just comes down to short game. My technique has been pretty good. I'm hitting the ball well when it comes to the short game, but it's my feel for distance control essentially that just isn't quite there yet. Anyways, we're gonna go out today and just give it all we got with what we got right now. Slightly redundant sentence, I know. I'm kind of using today as prep because a week from tomorrow I have US Open qualifying down in New York State. So for that, because last year US Open qualifying was my first tournament of the year, so it's been like 6 months since I've been in competition. At least this year we're going to get this one day East Coast Pro Tour event, get the juices flowing again, and they have been flowing. I mean, I'm feeling that nervous energy that you tend to feel before tournaments, and I'm trying to use the mental techniques that I worked on over the winter to kind of channel that and use it to my advantage. But anyways, we're going to get to the golf course in a few minutes, get warmed up, and then it's go time for the 2025 season.
Alright, while I work through my warm-up, let's tee up the day. The Atlantique golf course is situated in Notre-Dame-de-l'Île-Perrot, Quebec, and it measures 6,600 yards from the tips. But for some reason it always feels like it plays a bit longer than that. There is a lot of water on the course and some beautiful vistas of the city of Montreal over the St. Lawrence River and Lac St. Louis. Those that have been watching the channel for a while might remember that I played a one-day East Coast Pro Tour event here last season where I finished birdie, par, eagle to vault up the leaderboard in a late charge. Now obviously the goal today is to put my best foot forward and get a result. But I am also using it as an opportunity to see where my game is at before the aforementioned US Open qualifier next week. How the round goes today will shape my practice schedule for the following week so that I can be as prepared as possible. And here we are, ready to kick off the 2025 tournament season. The first hole at Lancid is a par 5. They had moved us up a tee box. This hole was playing 495 instead of the usual 541. It is a slight dogleg to the left, and today at the moment playing slightly downwind. And that is a brilliant start to the year. Could not have hit that drive much better or much more on my line. So we find ourselves in the middle of the fairway, approaching this par 5 from 186 yards. As mentioned, slightly downwind, so I am hitting an 8-iron. The pin is slightly at the back, and I don't want to challenge the back edge. Really nice strike here. The ball was slightly above my feet, and it moved the ball a little bit further left than I had expected. Good swing, happy with the contact. Really haven't put myself in any trouble just off the left side. Now, surprisingly, this rough was pretty juicy for early May. Bit of a funky lie here, but shouldn't be that complicated of a shot. I've got my lob wedge out, just trying to bump it onto the green and let it release, and it just didn't quite come out as hot as I'd expected, but I still have left myself an uphill look at birdie. So here we are, just outside of 10 feet, going uphill, breaking slightly from left to right. Pretty good look at birdie here to start the day and the season. I just want to make sure that I put a good stroke on this and give it good pace. And I thought that I had, but it just absolutely died going up that little slope. That was a much slower putt than I had expected. A little bit disappointing. The par doesn't hurt us, but I definitely feel like it's a missed opportunity having been greenside in 2. The second hole is a short, drivable par 4 coming in at 312 yards. There was water right and water short, so I elected to lay up with my 4-iron because it was slightly into the wind, and where the pin is tough to give yourself a good lead if you miss with driver, and instead I just missed with my 4-iron. Not a very committed swing there, got a little bit out of sequence. Really not what I was looking for. Put it into the left side fairway bunker. I only have 108 yards in though. Again, slightly uphill, slightly into wind, so I'm hitting a small 50-degree. Got a decent lie. You know, all in all, it's really not that tough of a shot. I've got a good angle at the flag. Hit this really nicely. Basically straight at the pin. I was feeling really good about this when it was in the air, and it just kind of came up a little short and then spun back off the front of the green. So a little unfortunate. Felt like the execution there was pretty good, but I've got a little bump and run here with my lob wedge. All I'm trying to do here is just pitch it onto the upslope at the front of the green, which should kill it, and then let it release up the hill. Unfortunately, that slope just did not kill it as much as I was looking for it to. Again, happy with the execution. Hit that shot really well. Basically exactly what I pictured, but I have left myself a little bit of extra work here for par on this short par 4. I'm expecting this to break a little left. I wanted to hit it with some pace, and I just didn't, so I'm struggling with pace a little bit early. Also probably underread that a little bit. That is a very disappointing bogey on what is not too tough of a hole. So not the start to the round we were looking for. You would hope to be at least 1 under par after the first 2 on this hole, and instead we are 1 over. But we have another par 5 here coming up, the 3rd hole, coming in at 550 yards. Gonna go straight out, dog legs to the left, there is water down the right, and you're gonna see that I step off of this right away. Just not feeling comfortable with my alignment whatsoever. So I reset, get myself back in, and I still felt awkward with it, though it was better than the first setup. So in the moment I just kind of chalked it up to, this is just nerves that I'm feeling. It wasn't. My setup was very poor. Again, very uncomfortable. This is well right of my target, and that goes over the trees you see in the distance and into the water. So we take our drop. We still have 310 yards into the flag from here, and there's some tree trouble, so I can't advance it as much as I'd like to, because on the angle that I'm hitting from, the first job is just to get it up over the trees. So that is a 9-iron. I just throw up over the trees, hit it onto the left side of the fairway just to make sure that I get the ball back in play. Now we have 164 yards in for our 4th shot to a pin that is on the left side of the green, only 6 from the edge. So I'm hitting an 8-iron, trying to draw it in. It starts on my line and just really didn't draw. It was good contact though. You can see me checking my alignment here for the divot. I felt good about that shot, even though the result really wasn't that great. It has left me a very, very long uphill, breaking from left to right putt for my par after having to take the penalty stroke. But here we are. Situation is what it is. I just need to make sure that I limit the damage and get this down in 2. Now, having struggled with the pace on the first 2 holes, I definitely gave this one a little bit of extra gas, and it was a little bit too much gas. For line, the effort was pretty good, but it did go, about 6 or 7 feet past the hole. So I've still got work to do here for my bogey. I'm a little rattled right now. I felt pretty good coming into this thing, and it's just not going my way so far. So this 6 or 7 footer here for bogey, again, tried to hit this with pace, didn't. Luckily it just caught the left edge, but a little more pace, that would have gone into the center. At the end of the day, we limit the damage, 2 over after 3 holes, need to find something here. At this point, I just need something to go my way, whether it's a solid iron shot or just to see a putt drop, anything to kind of get some momentum going and get this round back on track. On to the 4th hole, which is a par 3, today playing 180 yards, back into the wind. The pin is back left, 24 on, 7 from the left, over that bunker. I'm hitting a 7-iron that I'm going to flight down a little bit. It's not quite a full one. I'm just trying to punch it kind of through the wind, get it up somewhere by the flag. Now this was a good golf swing. Very solid strike, never left the flag stick. Finished just underneath the hole. That's going to give me a good look for birdie, as you see here. So about 15 to 17 feet here, a little bit uphill. I saw this breaking right, but with the water left, I figured it had to be pretty straight. So I just kind of went straight at it. Again, wanted to make sure I gave it a chance to go in, so gave it good pace, and it did just die a little to the right at the top. So a bit of a misread, but a good effort. Felt like a good stroke. This putt here to clean up for my par. Alright, so we're off the bogey train. We can start to build some momentum now. So after playing that par 3 well, I'm just looking to make a few more good golf swings and just kind of build the confidence up a little bit, gain some momentum, get yourself back into this. There's a lot of golf left. You are not out of this. The 5th hole is a par 4, 405 yards, water down the right, bunkers down the left. I elected to hit 3 wood because at least it would take the second body of water down the right out of play, and that was a great golf swing. Hammered that 3 wood right down the middle. Here is the first body of water on the right. It's a beautiful day here as Matt and I walk up the fairway. I have 126 yards left here for my second shot on this par 4. The pin is front left, 7 on, 5 paces from the left edge of the green. I'm hitting a little pitch and wedge here, just trying to control the flight, control the distance, control the spin. Another good strike on a good line, just a hair left of the flag, just a tiny little pull, but it is pin high, about 12 feet. That's going to give me a good look for birdie here, so I feel like I'm getting things back on track. This was an odd little putt. Kind of had it going right one way I looked at it, left the other way I looked at it, so I decided to go pretty much straight at it and just try to get the pace right. Put a good roll on it. It did break left at the end, but it did catch the left edge and fall. So that's a good birdie there. That gets us back to 1 over par. The 6th hole is a 440-yard par 4 that doglegs around those bunkers on the right, and there is water all the way up the left-hand side. So I'm hitting driver, and I'm trying to go up over the right side of those bunkers, which is going to be the right line for me to keep the water out of play. And that is not a duck hook, but definitely a pull hook. That is the first time I have seen that flight this year, and that is concerning. I do not like that ball flight. Worked out, stayed in the fairway, luckily. I still have 160 yards in though, a little bit into the wind, a little bit uphill. This is a controlled 8-iron that I'm going to hit here to this pin that's on the left side of the green. And this thing never left the flagstick. Looked absolutely all over it the entire way. Looked like it might have had a chance to go in from where we were standing. Great approach shot there, landed about a foot from the hole and chased on just past it. So now on this tough par 4, I've got a putt to get myself back to even par all of a sudden. This would be huge for momentum. It would get me right back into the tournament, really turn things around considering the shaky start. This is downhill, breaking a little bit from left to right, tracking beautifully, and again dies just short. And you can see the frustration. I really felt like I'd given that a good effort when it came off the club face. Again, just struggling with the pace. Seem to think these greens are a little bit faster than they really are. The 7th hole is a beautiful par 3 overlooking the St. Lawrence River. Today it is playing 163 yards. The pin is way over on the left side of the green, middle, but 8 paces from the left edge. I'm hitting an 8-iron here, just a little bit into the wind, just trying to flight it down and draw it in. I push it a little bit, and it doesn't draw. It was very, very good for distance, pin high, but well right of the target. Not that I was trying to get close to that flag, but middle of the green would have been pretty nice instead of right side. This has left me just under 50 feet for my birdie on this par 3. This putt goes kind of downhill before going back uphill and breaking from right to left. Of course, all I'm trying to do on this putt is get the pace right so that I can give myself a makeable par putt. Really good feeling stroke, good contact, great pace, tracking at the end, turning in, dies just short. Not upset that that one died short. I achieved the goal there. Par 3s are tough. Not going to make a ton of birdies on them. Now, just the fact that we can walk up and tap in this par putt without having to even mark it and have a nice stress-free par here, we will take that and move on. The 8th hole is a short par 4, 326 yards. Normally I would like to hit driver on holes like this, but seeing as I haven't been feeling good with the driver, I decided just to pull out my 4-iron, put something in the fairway, put a wedge in my hands. Let's attack the hole that way. Good swing with the 4-iron there, right down my line, middle of the fairway, so safe off the tee. We are going to have a wedge shot in. So 123 yards to a back left flag, and this was very deep and 7 from the left, only a few yards behind it. This is a small gap wedge on a pretty good line, just drew a little bit left of it, also went a little bit long. So that was unfortunate because I felt really good about that swing. Thought I was going to have a pretty good look at birdie there. Instead, we are just off the back of the green here. Not a complicated shot, uphill chip, should break a little bit from my left to right. Good contact, just came out a little hotter than I expected, so it runs a little past the hole, but I like the execution, feel like the short game has been pretty good. Now, that actually turned the opposite way that I'd expected. So I'm expecting this putt to do the same, and it doesn't. I'm expecting that putt to go right, it ends up going left. So I should have trusted my read, even though I had just seen the ball go in the opposite direction. So after hitting the fairway with the 4-iron, having a wedge in, walking off with bogey on that hole really hurts, especially after having given ourselves good looks at birdies on a few holes there. 9 is another short par 4 at 357 yards. This one I've decided to hit driver because if I hit 4-iron or hybrid or something, there's a lot of bunkers out there. You kind of have to thread the needle, so I figure let's take all of that out of play, aiming slightly down the left-hand side here. Now this wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I would never consider that to be a bad miss. It was just slightly left of my line, but felt like a pretty decent swing, so that was nice. Unfortunately, it did leave me in a bit of a tough spot here, as I was left of the green and the pin was on the front left. So I had 6 yards of green to work with here. Coming out of the rough, ball is sitting down a little bit. Got to go over a bunker, everything sloping away from me after that. The good news is that I was on an upslope, which is going to help me elevate the ball. So you're going to see I have my 60-degree out, face open, try to gouge it out, get it over the bunker. Looked like it took a pretty good kick. I mean, I'm not upset with that shot from there, but it unfortunately just didn't quite kick up onto the green. It stayed on the fringe, which, again, all in all, not terrible. I've got to look at birdie from the fringe here. It's going to be an uphill look. It's going to break a little bit from left to right. It's by all means an outside chance, but from where we were, we could have put ourselves in a much worse spot than this. Again, struggling with the pace. Just seem to be leaving everything a little bit short. Not a terrible effort. We're going to go ahead, tap in for our par. We are going to make the turn at 2 over par. So after a disappointing front 9, where I actually feel like there was a lot of positives to take from it, but we did turn it 2 over. I feel like after the slow start, we really turned it around, played some good golf, just didn't necessarily capitalize on the opportunities. On to the 10th, which is a par 3, playing 195 yards to a pin right at the front. This is a 6-iron. I hit sky high, straight at it. Beautiful golf shot. That's going to nestle up within 2 feet. That is a great start to the back 9. Definitely want to get some momentum going here, make a few birdies, get myself back in this thing. I will go ahead and tap in for my birdie.
Birdie.
Matt's happy. Roxanne is happy. We're all happy. So 1 over par at this point. A lot of golf to go. I know that if I can string some birdies together, I can get myself right back into this thing. I have not given up hope. I am feeling pretty good right now. The 11th hole is a very tough par 4. Dog legs to the right. There is water right of the fairway, bunkers left, and then water left of the green. Don't want to hit driver here because it gets incredibly narrow between the bunkers and the water the further up you go. So I am laying back with hybrid here, just trying to place it. Another great swing there. Beautiful contact right on my line. Definitely feeling like I have found a bit of a groove here. Now, I have 161 yards left here to this back right flag. Very tough pin position. This is a controlled 8-iron from a hanging lie. Expecting this ball to fade. I started at the middle of the green expecting to fade. It just didn't fade, but it is still a very, very good quality approach shot. Matt harassing the local geese. Kids these days. So this is the birdie look that I have left myself on this tough par 4. Just outside of 20 feet, probably about 24 feet. Going uphill, breaking from left to right. Now I know that I need to make some birdies, so I know that I'm going to give this a chance. Need to get it to the hole, and I do, but just a little bit too much pace for the line I had picked. Not upset with that effort. Put it about 2 feet past the hole. but gave that a chance to go in. I'm going to go ahead, clean up my par, and we're going to walk on to the par 5 12th hole. This par 5 measures 555 yards. It is a dog leg left around that bunker. Now the driver's been a little shaky today. I'm not feeling great with it, but I know that a good drive here is going to set me up to really attack this hole. Finally, a better driver swing. That was right down my line. Very well hit. That's going to put us in a good spot. So, really want to capitalize here. We've hit a good drive on a par 5. We didn't take advantage when we did that on 1. Definitely don't want to make that mistake again, and can't really afford to be making those mistakes now if we're trying to get back into this. Have 255 yards left, slightly into wind. I'm hitting 3-wood. Felt really good over this, trying to hit a high draw. Unfortunately, caught it just a little bit heavy, so didn't get quite the distance, didn't get the draw. It was at this point in the round that my back started to get a little bit tight. I was having a bit of a hard time making a full turn. Left myself in a bit of a tough spot here. Right rough, short-sided. Didn't quite commit down and through that one. Kind of backed out of it. A little disappointed there, but at least I know the mistake that I'm making. I can address that this week. So I've got another chip here from just off the right side of the green. Uphill, breaking from right to left. Want to give this a chance. Good contact. Pretty good line. Just a little overreach, maybe a bit of a push, maybe a bit of both. But a decent chip. That will allow me to go ahead, set up, and convert my par, and at least not move in the wrong direction on that par 5. 13 is a 392 yard par 4, dog legs slightly to the right. Now, I hit hybrid on this hole because I know that if I lose it a little bit right, I'll be far enough back that I can get over that big willow tree that we see there. So going ahead here, trying to hit this down the right side of the fairway. Just hit a little bit of a cut, just a tiny bit out of the heel. It lands in the right rough. Unfortunately, it does kick right as well. So I am going to have to contend with that willow tree, but I am far enough back that getting over it shouldn't be an issue. I have 168 yards in. The pin is in the back right. So again, this is into wind. 8-iron would be the club, but I'm not sure that I can get 8-iron up high enough to get it over that willow. So I elect to hit 9-iron out to the left to take that bunker, the front right out of play. Put this somewhere in the front left, front center of the green. Don't put yourself in trouble, you're out of position. Put it in your putter. And look at this view of St. Joseph's Oratory in Montreal over the back of the 13th green. The next few holes on this golf course are just so scenic. Really, really beautiful golf course. So I've got about, I'm going to say 65 feet here, going uphill, breaking from my left to right. This is a pace putt. I do feel like I've got a pretty good line picked. I feel pretty confident with my read, but really the most important thing here is just to get the right pace. You're going to see that I have to hammer this thing going up the hill. Really good effort from that distance. Very, very happy with that. So after being out of position off the tee, making a smart decision to hit to the left side of the green and not trying, kind of compounding the error, we've got this 2-footer here for our par. We'll clean that up and move on to the 14th hole, still at 1 over par. Now 14 is a par 4 that dog legs left around the water, just over 400 yards. Now, if you saw my tournament here last year, you might remember that I'd hit hybrid here. Well, I'm trying to be more aggressive, and I know I'm not hitting the driver well, but I'm trying to commit to my plan here. And unfortunately, I hit the same pull hook that I hit on 6, which, again, just Not used to seeing that flight. That has not been my miss so far this year. Just off today. Again, as I mentioned before, the back's feeling a little bit tight. As I'm getting tired with that, falling into my old habits, I take a drop. I have 187 yards here to a front right flag. Bit of an awkward lie as the ball was above my feet, but the ball was on a flat lie, so the heel of the club dug in a little bit, shut the face down, ends up in the left green side bunker. And first wildlife segment of the year, we have an otter. So long, short-sided bunker shot from the back of the bunker here. I've got about 25 yards here to cover, so I've got my 60-degree open face. Nice committed swing, but just very little sand in that bunker, unfortunately. Ended up catching a little bit too much ball. Happy with the technique. More sand, I think that shot works out really nicely. This effort here from the right fringe is for bogey. Going downhill, turning from right to left. Decent effort, good proximity. That's an outside chance. You're not expecting to make that, but this 2-footer here, clean up for my double. And that gets us to 3 over par with 4 holes to play. On to the par 3 15th hole. Very cool hole with an island green. Today playing 182 yards, a little bit downhill. I'm hitting a small controlled 7-iron here. Felt like it was a lot to ask out of the 8-iron right now. And now I am just tired, I am sore, I am completely out of sequence, and I really am falling into my old habits. Another hard left miss. This is what I have worked so hard to eradicate, and it's very, very frustrating to see it creeping back in. The ball did stay up, though it is in the hazard. Awkward lie. It's kind of right down at the base of a little slope. A lot of grass behind the ball. You're going to see when I do these practice swings, I'm going to practice kind of accelerating and just like chunking the club into that kind of wall of ground in front of the ball here. So I need to produce a lot of speed quickly, pop the ball up, get it over a slope, and then it's going to run downhill to the hole from there. Honestly, couldn't have asked for anything much better than that. That is a great recovery shot from where I was. Gives us about 3 feet here for par, just a little bit of right to left in it. Really solid stroke there. That is a great save. Keeps us at 3 over par. Now 16 is a par 4 over water. Measures 351 yards, but it's only about 310 to the green if you take a straight line at it. Now I drove this green last year, but you've seen my driver today. It hasn't been great. I'm still playing aggressive, but I'm not going straight at the green. I'm going right of it to shorten the carry. Now that felt like a better swing. I wasn't stuck, but I did hit it way off the toe, so it went really high, turned much more than I expected it to. It was 285 to carry on that line. We didn't see a splash, so we figured it was going to be fine. It wasn't fine. I had to walk 180 yards back to the drop zone, so I've got 184 yards here to this pin on the left side of the green. This is another 7-iron. Now I'm not going at the flag. I am trying to go slightly right of it. Don't want to do anything stupid here. That's a pretty good strike there. I'm slightly further right than I wanted it, but it's going to put it on the green. We actually have a look at par. About 30 feet here for par, going right to left. Beautiful view of Montreal in the background there. I feel like I've got a good read on this. Just got to match up the pace. Hit a great putt, tracking the entire way, and again just comes up a little bit short. That's an unfortunate bogey. Par there really would have been stealing one, but at least we limit the damage, but it does take us to 4 over on the day. 17 is a great par 4, 422 yards, dog legs to the left around the bunkers. You see there is water all the way down the right hand side, so I'm hitting 3-wood, trying to go just right of that first bunker. Starts on my line but hooks heavily to the left. Another left miss. I'm getting a little frustrated with this at this point. We do find my ball. It's closer to the boundary lines than I would have liked, but it is in play, and I actually, to be honest, don't have that difficult of a shot from here. I really only have that little birch tree in the way, but from 145 yards out, a little uphill, this is just a nice 9-iron, little draw around the tree. So out of sequence that I just scull it. I mean, that is so out of character. I can't tell you the last time I did that. That chases over the green into the back bunker, so now I'm in a deep bunker on a downslope. Not much sand. I've got some green to work with, but it all slopes away from me and heavily from right to left. So I pop it out, get a little bit of check on it, let it release down the hill. All things considered, from that position, that is a very good recovery shot. Leaves me about 8 feet here for my par. This is going slightly uphill. It's got a decent amount of turn from left to right in it. And I feel like I've got a good read on it. Just have to match up the pace, but we know that the pace has not been fantastic today. This time I'm able to match it up. That is a great par save, considering I really hit a poor drive and a very poor approach shot. So short par 5, 18th, 465 yards. There was water down the left. Now I can hit 3 wood and get home in 2, but I'm really trying to overcome whatever's going on with my driver here. Just trying to do what I can to prepare for next week. Again, lose it left. Solid hit, but just out of sequence. Got the club stuck behind me. Old habits. Very frustrated at this point. That's going to finish in the left trees. Luckily it did hit trees and didn't reach the water. Now the green's kind of the other side of that willow tree that we see there, so there's no chance in going for this from here. So this is a 7-iron. I'm just trying to kind of hit a low punch out under the branches with a bit of a draw on it, hit it out towards those bunkers down the right. I mean, even though it's a punch out, this was exactly what I was trying to do. So I was happy with that. Now this is going to be a tough flag here. So this is in a bit of a bowl, kind of the back left part of the green there. So short of it was a big downslope. So if I land on that downslope, it doesn't stop. And if I fly it to the hole, it's not going to stop because I'm only about 60 yards out here. So I'm trying to hit a low, kind of chippy one that's going to chase up and release down that slope. Now I hit the flight I was looking for. Just didn't hit it far enough. You can see the frustration there. So I do have a birdie putt, but it's about 40 feet. It goes a little bit uphill and then goes sharply downhill and breaks from right to left. Definitely not a high percentage look. We have not played the par 5s well today. Let's just finish with a good putt here. And it's a good effort from that distance. Good for pace. Very slight overread. Saw it breaking a little bit heavier to the left as it went down the hill. Leave myself about 2 feet for the par. Clean that up. And that is an end to the first tournament round of the season. A very disappointing 4 over par, 76 to get 2025 underway. There was a lot to like from today. There were things that I did well, but getting off the tee was a big issue, something that I have to resolve quickly. Alright guys, I had filmed a recap at the golf course once we finished up, but now having had 24 hours to kind of, work through the round mentally a little bit more, I realized there were a few talking points that I didn't bring up at the time, so here we are redoing it now. So we're going to get the negative out of the way. That was a frustrating and disappointing day. Obviously, I would have liked to have had a better start to the year. I was definitely a little bit shaky mentally for the first few holes, but it only took me, let's say, 3 holes to kind of get things back on track, which, obviously not ideal, but last year in my first event, it took me the full front 9 to get comfortable. So we're going to take that as a positive. To give you an idea of kind of how backwards my round of golf was, I played the par 5s at 1 over, the par 4s at 4 over, and the par 3s at 1 under par. Now, anybody who knows anything about high-level golf very rare that you're going to play par 3s under par. Usually if it's a day where you're under par on the par 3s, you've played everything else incredibly well, and it's one of the days you go really low. Obviously that wasn't the case. Par 5s is usually where you're going to go low, and I didn't birdie a single par 5, just kind of made a mess of all of them. And unfortunately, a lot of that just came down to driver, not just the par 5s. I mean, there were 2 par 5s where I hit good drives, but a lot on the par 4s, just not really able to get the ball in play, which was very, very frustrating to me yesterday, because in the rounds that I played leading up to it, not that I've played a lot, but driver was by no means perfect, but the misses were very playable. Like the day before the tournament, I'd hit 17 greens in regulation. You're not doing that if you're driving the ball all over the place. I'm always putting myself in a position where I have a shot into the green, and I was just completely incapable of doing that yesterday. And the worst part for me is those kind of low left misses that, I struggled with a little bit last year, and I've struggled with a bit in the past, and I've worked so hard to eradicate them. But, as I started to get tired, my back started to tighten up. I could literally feel that my right hand grip, the position of my right hand, was getting into a stronger position, which is my old bad habit. Getting the club kind of stuck behind me, again, an old bad habit. So really frustrating that was creeping back in and really cost me. I mean, haven't calculated the strokes gained yet, but my God, I do not know how many strokes I lost off the tee yesterday. And three tee shots in the water. That's really all you need to know. You're never going to do that and score well. To be honest, shooting 76 was, obviously I'm not going to say it's great, but that could have been a lot worse. I mean, we fought really hard to limit the damage and come in at 76. So it's become quite clear, even though I've had the okay from my osteo to kind of resume normal activities, I have to adapt my recovery habits. I don't know if it's a temporary thing or maybe just while I'm still kind of recovering from this current or recent back injury. I've got to pay way more attention to what I'm doing to recover, which means more rest time, probably a lot more ice baths, probably a bunch of acupuncture. Just going to do everything I can going forward to make sure that what happens yesterday doesn't happen again. Now, there are still a lot of positives. Though I did struggle with the pace on those greens, which usually are a lot faster than that at the beginning of the year. They were a little bit slower, and I did struggle with that aspect of it, but I did hit good putts all day. There were no obvious pushes or pulls. I feel really confident with this new putter getting the ball going on the line. Overall, my short game was good. Didn't always make the up and downs, but generally speaking, the contact that I was making was really nice, which is something that I struggled with last year. This is just a matter of getting reps in so that I can kind of project how quickly or softly the ball is going to come out of different lies. But overall, I did like how I executed on technique. For the most part, my iron play was quite strong. I mean, that's always been a strength of mine, so at least it was good to see that hasn't really gone anywhere. In fact, I think for the most part, it was a lot better than it was last year. I did have the one left miss on the par 3 15th. That kind of shot was quite regular for me for most of last season until I went to see Shaheen and started working with him, sometime around mid or end of August last year. At the end of the day, it's early in the golf season. I missed a bunch of playing time with this injury. I need more reps. I think it's that simple. I just need to be on the golf course more, just getting more comfortable in different situations. Got to work on my alignment with the driver because that was very uncomfortable today. Something that's hard to work on indoors because your target is 15 feet in front of you. So it's pretty clear what I have to do this week as much as I can, because I still have lessons to give, but I will be outside on the course, working on the aspects that we have talked about here and now, doing everything we can to prepare for US Open qualifying next week. So yeah, it was a tough day, but we're going to take the positives and we're not going to ignore the negatives. We're going to recognize them. We're going to take this as a chance to learn use the time I have to prepare for my next event. That's going to be a wrap for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you come back next week for the US Open qualifier recap. If you're enjoying the content, please like the video, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks a lot for watching, and as always, I'll be back next week with another video. Cheers, guys.